The galactic arena was silent. Not the normal silence of an empty place. This silence was heavy, watching, waiting. The arena was bigger than any city. Its floor was made of dark metal, marked with deep scars from old battles. Above it, massive floating screens filled the sky, glowing with light. On those screens were millions of alien faces, different shapes, colors, and eyes, all watching the same place. The center of the arena. There, chained into the ground, was the predator. It was enormous. Its body was covered in thick black scales, each one sharp like a blade. Long claws dug into the metal floor. Its mouth was filled with rows of teeth made to tear, not chew. Old scars crossed its body, marks from wars, weapons, and failed attempts to kill it. This creature had a name known across the galaxy. It was the Void Reaper, an army killer, a world breaker, a predator that had wiped out entire battalions alone. No cage had held it for long. No weapon had truly scared it. Heavy energy chains wrapped around its body, glowing red as they tried to hold it down. The chains hummed with power, but even they shook as the creature moved. The Void Reaper lifted its head and released a deep roar. The sound rolled through the arena like thunder. Some aliens watching from the screens turned away. Others leaned closer, excited. High above the arena floor, on a floating throne of gold and crystal, sat the Empress. She was tall and elegant, wearing robes that shimmered like stars. Her crown floated slightly above her head, glowing with imperial symbols. Her face showed confidence and amusement. She was enjoying this. Beside her stood guards in heavy armor, weapons ready. Below her throne, nobles and commanders whispered among themselves. This was not just a show. It was a message. Power always was. The Empress leaned forward and laughed softly. Her laughter echoed across the arena. Then she looked down at the single figure standing alone on the arena floor. A human man. He was small compared to the predator. No armor, no weapon, no shield, just simple dark clothing and calm eyes. He stood straight, hands relaxed at his sides, as if he was not facing the deadliest creature in the galaxy. His face showed no fear, no anger, not even pride, just focus. The Empress tilted her head, amused by the sight. A human, so fragile, so short-lived, so weak according to the galaxy. She raised her voice, and the arena speakers carried it everywhere. "Control this beast," she said calmly, "and my entire planet is yours." Her words hit the arena like a shockwave. For a moment there was silence, then laughter. The crowd erupted. Aliens laughed openly. Some mocked. Others shouted insults. Many could not believe the Empress even allowed this to happen. A human? Against the Void Reaper? Some had seen humans before. They were traitors, refugees, survivors, never rulers, never tamers of monsters. The Void Reaper roared again, louder this time. The ground shook. Cracks spread across the metal floor. The energy chains pulled tight, glowing brighter as the creature slammed its claws down. Its eyes locked onto the human. Predators always knew weakness. The crowd leaned forward, waiting for the moment when the human would run, scream, or die. But the human did none of those things. He did not step back. He did not raise his hands. He did not speak. He only breathed slowly. The roar faded, replaced by a low growl. Hot breath poured from the predator's mouth. Its muscles tightened, ready to strike the moment the chains failed. Still, the human did not move. The Empress smiled wider. "This will be quick," she said quietly to her court. Below, commanders checked their scanners. Medics prepared for a cleanup. This was entertainment, nothing more. Then the human took a step. Just one. Slow. Controlled. Forward. The laughter stopped. Not all at once, but enough. The human moved closer to the predator. Close enough that the heat from its body reached him. Close enough that one strike would end his life. The Void Reaper paused. His growl changed. This massive head lowered slightly. Its eyes narrowed, not with rage, but confusion. The chains rattled as the creature shifted its weight. The human stopped walking. He stood there, close enough to touch death, and looked directly into the predator's eyes. The arena held its breath. For the first time in centuries, the Void Reaper did not attack. And for the first time, the Empress stopped laughing. The silence did not break. It stretched across the galactic arena like a living thing. Millions of viewers watched without blinking. No one laughed now. No one spoke. The Void Reaper stood still. This massive chest rose and fell slowly. Hot air escaped its mouth in deep, controlled breaths. Its claws, sharp enough to cut starship steel, were pressed into the arena floor, but they did not strike. The human remained where he was, too close, one step closer than any creature had ever stood and survived. High above, the Empress leaned back in her throne. Her smile had faded, replaced by a thin, careful expression. She did not speak. Her eyes followed every movement of the predator. This was wrong. The Void Reaper was not supposed to hesitate. Across the arena, a low voice began to speak through the narrator system. It was calm, slow, and heavy with meaning. "This creature," the voice said, "is not a beast born on one world." Images appeared on the floating screens. Planets burned. Cities collapsed. Armies vanished. This predator was discovered in deep space, drifting near a dead star. The voice continued. "No home world, no species, only destruction." The crowd watched in silence. When the First Empire tried to study it, the voice said, "The research station lasted 7 minutes. The screen showed broken metal spinning into darkness. When the Second Empire tried to weaponize it, the voice went on, their fleet never returned." Another image appeared, warships torn apart like paper. And when the Third Empire tried to control it, the screen went dark. They lost an entire planet. The Void Reaper lifted its head slightly, as if it could hear its own history being spoken aloud. Its eyes glowed faintly. The human did not react. He listened. The narrator continued, "No machine has controlled it. No chemical has calmed it. No force has ever made it submit." The crowd shifted uneasily. Many watching had lost family to wars caused by this creature. Others had grown rich selling weapons meant to stop monsters like it. All had believed one thing: the Void Reaper could not be tamed. Down in the arena, the energy chains tightened suddenly. The Empress raised her hand. A warning. She did not like how long this was taking. The chains pulsed with power, sending waves of pain through the predator's body. The Void Reaper roared in anger, shaking the arena again. This time, the roar was closer. The creature leaned forward. Its massive head lowered until its eyes were level with the human's face. One strike. That was all it needed. The crowd tensed. Security weapons powered up. Red targeting lights crossed the arena floor. Medics braced themselves. Still, the human did not move. He did not run. He did not fight. Instead, he slowly raised one hand. Not in attack. Not in defense. Open. Empty. The Void Reaper froze. Its roar cut off mid-sound. The growl faded into silence. The creature's eyes flickered. His breathing slowed again. Something strange was happening. The scanners began to react. "Heart rate dropping," a technician said, confused. "Aggression levels decreasing," another whispered. "That's not possible." The Empress sat forward now. Her fingers tightened around the armrest of her throne. "What is he doing?" she demanded. No one answered. The human lowered his hand slightly, keeping his movements slow and clear. He tilted his head not as a challenge but as acknowledgement, like one predator recognizing another. The Void Reaper's claws loosened their grip on the floor. The chains rattled softly. Across the galaxy, millions of viewers felt something shift. This was no longer a test of strength. This was something else. Something older. Something the galaxy had forgotten. The narrator spoke again, quieter this time. "Humans did not rise by conquering predators," the voice said. "They survived by understanding them." The Void Reaper leaned closer, so close that its breath moved the human's clothing. One snap of its jaws would end everything. The Empress opened her mouth to stop it. Then the Void Reaper lowered its head. Not fully. Just enough. The crowd gasped. Some stood from their seats. Others stared in disbelief. The predator that had never bowed had hesitated. The human did not smile. He simply took another slow breath and placed his hand gently against the creature's scaled skin. The arena did not move. The chains did not activate. The Void Reaper did not attack. For the first time in recorded history, the galaxy watched its deadliest predator choose not to kill. And deep in her chest, the Empress felt something she had not felt in a very long time. Unease. The moment felt unreal. The human's hand rested on the Void Reaper's scales. The scales were warm, rough, and scarred from countless battles. Yet the creature did not pull away. It did not strike. The galactic arena remained frozen in silence. Across the floating screens, millions of aliens stared. Some leaned closer. Others pulled back in fear. No one spoke. No one laughed. The predator's breathing slowed. Deep, controlled, almost calm. Scanners across the arena began flashing warnings. Neural activity stabilizing, a technician whispered. Fear response redirected. Predatory aggression suppressed. The words did not make sense. The Void Reaper was not built to be calm. High above, the Empress stood from her throne. This was no longer entertainment. This was a threat. Guards, she said sharply. Prepare the failsafe. Her voice echoed, cold and firm. Around the arena, hidden towers opened. Heavy weapons shifted into position. Energy cannons charged, aimed not only at the predator, but at the human. If control was being lost, she would end it herself. Down below, the human felt the shift. The air grew heavy. The low hum of weapons vibrated through the ground. He did not look up. He kept his eyes on the Void Reaper. Slowly, carefully, he stepped closer. Now he stood directly in front of the creature's massive head. The Void Reaper lowered itself slightly, bending its front legs. Its long tail relaxed. The chains pulled tight as its weight shifted. But the creature did not resist. The crowd gasped again. This was not fear. This was trust. The narrator's voice returned, softer than before. On Earth, the voice said, humans did not survive by being the strongest. Images appeared on the screens. Dark forests, wide deserts, storm-filled oceans. They survived by learning when not to fight. The human placed his other hand on the predator's neck. His movements were slow, steady, and clear. He did not dominate. He listened. The Void Reaper's eyes flickered again. For the first time, something new appeared within them. Memory, not of battle, not of rage, but of survival. The creature remembered hunger, cold, pain. The chains had kept it alive but never free. The human leaned forward slightly and rested his forehead against the predator's scales. A dangerous move, a foolish move. The crowd waited for blood. None came. The predator closed its eyes. The scanners screamed. Neural sync detected. That's impossible. Two different species, how? The Empress's face went pale. She raised her hand again. Fire, she ordered. The command froze in her throat, because the Void Reaper moved, not toward the human, toward the weapons. Its massive body shifted, placing itself between the cannons and the man. The chains snapped tight, sparks flying. The message was clear. The predator was protecting him. Across the galaxy, panic spread. This is not control, a noble whispered. This is alliance. The Empress's hands trembled. She had offered a planet as a joke. She had expected death. Instead, she was watching power change hands. The Void Reaper lifted its head and released a low sound. Not a roar, a warning. Every weapon in the arena powered down at once. Systems failed. Locks disengaged. Energy fields flickered. The human stepped back half a step, not in fear but in respect. He lowered his hands. The Void Reaper remained still. Then, slowly, deliberately, the creature turned its head and looked up at the Empress. For the first time, she felt small. The narrator spoke one final line. Some predators do not need chains, the voice said. They need understanding. The Void Reaper's chains began to crack. And the Empress realized something too late. She had not challenged a man. She had introduced the galaxy to a bond it could not break. The cracking sound was slow at first. A sharp snap echoed through the galactic arena. Then another. The glowing energy chains around the Void Reaper began to fracture. Thin lines of light spread across them like broken glass. The crowd screamed. Some aliens stood up from their seats. Others backed away from their screens as if distance could protect them. "This is not possible," a commander whispered. "Those chains can hold a starship." The Void Reaper did not thrash. It did not rage. It simply stood still. Its massive body remained calm as the chains struggled to contain something they were never designed to hold: choice. High above, the Empress shouted, "Increase power! Maximum output!" Engineers obeyed instantly. The chains flared bright red, then white. Energy surged through them, shaking the entire arena. The ground cracked deeper. The air burned. The human felt the pain pass through the creature's body. He stepped forward again, not to command, not to fight, but to stand with it. He placed one hand against the Void Reaper's side. The creature turned its head slightly, acknowledging him. The pain did not stop, but the fear did. Across the screens, scientists watched in disbelief. "Pain response is active," one said, "but aggression is not increasing. It's enduring it." The Empress's face twisted with anger. "Kill it," she ordered. "Kill them both if you must." The command reached the arena defense systems. Weapons reactivated. Massive cannons locked on target. The human slowly turned his head upward and looked at the Empress. This was the first time he truly looked at her. His eyes were calm. Not angry, not proud, just clear. The Void Reaper felt the shift. It moved again. With a single controlled motion, it pulled forward. The first chain shattered. A sound like thunder ripped through the arena. Energy exploded outward. Systems failed. Lights flickered. The crowd screamed louder. The second chain cracked. Then the third. The Empress staggered back, grabbing the edge of her throne. "This is not control," she shouted. "This is rebellion." Below, the human finally spoke. His voice was not loud, but it carried. "You offered freedom," he said, "not obedience." The words struck harder than any weapon. The Void Reaper roared short and sharp, not in rage, in declaration. The remaining chains snapped. Metal and energy fell away like broken promises. The Predator was free. Security forces opened fire. The shots never reached their target. The Void Reaper stepped forward and placed its body fully in front of the human. Energy blasts hit its scales and vanished. Missiles shut down midair. The creature stood like a living wall. The arena fell into chaos. Some nobles fled. Others dropped to their knees. Military leaders shouted orders that no longer worked. The human remained still, protected. The Empress stared down in horror. She had ruled through fear and power. But now she was facing something older, something she could not command. The Void Reaper slowly turned its head again and looked at her. His eyes burned not with hate, but judgment. The narrator's voice returned, low and heavy. "Chains do not create loyalty," it said. "They only delay choice." The Empress swallowed. Her promise echoed in her mind. An entire world. She had laughed when she said it. Now the galaxy remembered her words. The human stepped forward from behind the Predator. He looked up once more. "We are done here," he said calmly. The Void Reaper took one step forward. The floor shook. The Empress realized the truth. She no longer controlled the arena, and she no longer controlled the future. The arena did not feel the same anymore. The air was heavy, not with fear, but with understanding. The Void Reaper stood free, its massive body calm and steady. No chains, no weapons, no commands, just choice. The human stood beside it, small, unarmed, unbroken. Across the floating screens, scientists, soldiers, and rulers argued in panic. "This breaks every rule. Control without force is impossible. Humans are manipulating it." The narrator spoke again, steady and clear. Humans did not come from a gentle world, the voice said. New images filled the screens. A blue planet, violent storms, wild predators, endless struggle. Earth was not kind, the narrator continued. It tested its children every day. The crowd watched in silence. Humans learned early that fear does not disappear, the voice said. It can only be understood. Down in the arena, the Void Reaper lowered itself slightly, resting its weight. This was not submission. It was trust. The human slowly stepped forward, away from the creature, showing he was not hiding behind it. The Void Reaper did not follow. It did not need to. The bond held. High above, the Empress's advisors surrounded her. Your Majesty, we must contain this, one whispered. If the galaxy sees this, every empire will demand answers. The Empress clenched her fists. She had offered a planet to humiliate a human. Now she faced humiliation herself. Humans were never the strongest, the narrator said. They were never the fastest. The human turned slightly, facing the millions watching. He did not raise his voice. He did not threaten. We did not survive by killing every predator, he said calmly. We survived by knowing when not to. The Void Reaper lifted its head at the sound of his voice. Its eyes followed him. Somewhere deep inside the creature, something ancient settled. For the first time, it was not alone. Across the galaxy, military leaders watched closely. If humans could stand beside this creature, what else could they stand beside? The Empress finally spoke. You think this gives you power? She asked sharply. You are still one man. The human looked up. One man, he agreed. Then he gestured gently toward the Void Reaper. But not alone. The creature released a low sound. Not a roar, not a threat. A warning. Every screen across the galaxy flickered. Messages began arriving. Human ships were being detected. Not warships. Exploration vessels. Rescue fleets. Observation craft. Humans were coming not to fight but to be seen. The narrator's voice carried one final truth. Humans do not rule predators, it said. They walk beside them. The Empress felt her control slipping. She had ruled through fear of monsters. Now monsters were choosing humans. The human took one slow breath. We will leave, he said, with or without your permission. The Void Reaper stepped closer to him. The choice was made. Across the galaxy, old empires felt something change. Quiet fear. Because humanity was no longer hiding. And they were not afraid. The galactic arena was no longer loud. It was tense. The Void Reaper stood beside the human, calm and watchful. Its massive shadow stretched across the cracked floor. No weapons aimed at it now. No chains remained. Only witnesses. Millions of them. Across the floating screens, rulers and citizens waited for the Empress to speak. She did not sit back down. She stood tall, trying to regain control, but her voice was tighter than before. You have made your point, she said. This demonstration is over. The human did not move. He looked up at her, calm as ever. No, he said simply. It is not. A quiet ripple passed through the crowd. The Empress narrowed her eyes. You stand in my arena, she said. You challenge my authority. The human nodded. You offered terms, he replied. In front of the galaxy. The words hit her like a blade. She remembered her laughter, her careless promise. An entire world. The human took one slow step forward. Not threatening, not proud. Clear. I completed your challenge, he said. The predator stands free by choice. The Void Reaper lifted its head, as if agreeing. The narrator's voice returned. In imperial law, it said, a public vow made before the galaxy is binding. The Empress's advisors froze. Your Majesty, one whispered. The law is clear. Her jaw tightened. You expect me to give you a planet? She demanded. To a species barely recognized? The human's expression did not change. We expect you to keep your word. Silence followed. The Void Reaper took one step forward. The floor shook again. Not a threat, a reminder. The Empress felt the weight of eyes upon her. If she refused, she would be seen as weak. If she agreed, she would lose power. She chose carefully. "Very well," she said at last. "The planet is yours." The galaxy erupted. Shock, anger, fear. The human did not celebrate. He only nodded once. "But understand this," the Empress continued, her voice sharp. "That world is unclaimed for a reason." The narrator filled the silence. "Planet designation, Karos," it said. "Extreme environment, high predator density, unstable core, a death world." The Empress smiled thinly. "You may have your planet," she said, "if you survive it." The human looked toward the screens, toward the galaxy. "Then it suits us," he said. The Void Reaper released a low sound, almost approving. The Empress leaned back, trying to hide her fear. She had given them a world. She had not realized what she had truly given away, because humans had already mastered death worlds, and they had brought a predator with them. The planet Karos filled the screen. Red skies, black mountains, violent storms that never rested. Lightning tore across the clouds like burning scars. Massive shadows moved across the land. Creatures older than empires, waiting. Across the galaxy, analysts watched in silence. "No civilization has survived there," one said. "Not even for a cycle." Human ships appeared in orbit. Not warships, carriers, habitat vessels, exploration craft. They moved with purpose, not fear. The Void Reaper stood at the edge of the lead ship's landing bay. The stars reflected in its dark scales. It did not resist the journey. It had chosen this path. The human stood nearby, hands behind his back, watching the planet below. "This world will kill them," an alien commander said. "They are walking into extinction." The first human landing pods descended. Fire and smoke filled the sky. They struck the surface of Karos and remained intact. Humans emerged. They did not rush. They did not panic. They observed. They adapted. The Void Reaper followed. As its feet touched the planet, the ground trembled. Native predators rose from the shadows, sensing an intruder. They stopped. They felt it. This was not prey. This was balance. The largest creatures lowered their heads. Others retreated into the storms. Across the screens, the galaxy fell silent. "They are not conquering the planet," a scientist whispered. "They are settling it." Human machines began to work. Shields rose. Shelters formed. Life support fields spread slowly, carefully. The Void Reaper moved among the humans, not as a weapon, as a guardian. The Empress watched from her throne, her face dark. She had hoped Karos would destroy them. Instead, it welcomed them. Messages flooded in from other empires. If humans can survive Karos, if they can live with that creature. Fear spread. The narrator spoke one last time in this part. "Humanity was never weak," it said. "They were simply waiting." The human looked across the new world. "This will do," he said quietly. The Void Reaper roared once, not in rage but in claim. And the galaxy understood. This was no longer an experiment. This was the beginning of something it could not stop. Time passed. Not much, but enough. The planet Karos changed. Where storms once ruled without pause, stable zones began to form. Human shields did not fight the world, they guided it. Power fields redirected winds. Settlements grew between mountains. Light appeared where there had been only darkness. The galaxy watched. Every screen showed the same truth. Humans were not surviving by force. They were coexisting. The Void Reaper moved across the land like a shadow of judgment. Native predators did not challenge it. They understood hierarchy. They understood balance. And they understood humans were no longer prey. The Empress stood alone in her throne room. The laughter that once filled it was gone. Reports flooded her displays. Human population stable. Karos ecosystems adapting. Void Reaper integrated. Integrated. The word burned. She had meant to humiliate a man. She had given birth to a power. Her advisors whispered behind her. Other empires are requesting alliances. They fear human expansion. They fear being left behind. The Empress closed her eyes. She had ruled through fear. Now fear ruled her. A transmission request appeared. Human origin. She accepted. The human appeared on the screen. Calm, steady, unchanged. Behind him, Karos burned with life. "You have your planet," the Empress said. "And your monster." The human shook his head. "We have a home," he replied. "And a partner." The Void Reaper stepped into view behind him. Not chained, not commanded, chosen. The Empress straightened. "What do you want?" she asked. The human thought for a moment. "Nothing," he said. "We were never here to take." The galaxy leaned in. "But understand this," he continued. "You challenged what you did not understand." The Empress said nothing. "You believed predators exist to be controlled," the human said. "We learned they exist to be respected." Silence followed. Then the narrator's voice spoke one final time. "The galaxy had feared monsters for centuries," it said. "But it was never the monsters they should have feared." The Void Reaper lifted its head and roared. Not in threat, in warning. The Empress felt the meaning clearly. Humanity would not conquer, but they would not be ruled. The transmission ended. Across the galaxy, empires adjusted their borders. Fleets changed direction. Councils rewrote laws, because one truth was now clear. Humans do not tame predators. They stand beside them. And that day, the galaxy learned the cost of laughing at a human.